everyone? Welcome back into 4th and 5, presented by Ortho, Arkansas. Finally, something to talk about. All the wait that we've been trying to figure out what this team looks like. We ain't seen it in person. We saw it at War Memorial Stadium. We're about to get a full breakdown of everything from that game, specifically the first half and what you need to know. But before we get cranked into that, Josh, Bobby Petrino, he back.
Yeah, he is back, man. Wasn't it great to see just a team, an offensive performance that wasn't beating themselves? No botched snaps, not a lot of missed passes, a few, but not a lot of missed passes. It just kind of seemed like, hey, this team, this offense seems to be coached a little bit better than what we've been used to over the past, few recent years. So if anything, I was happy to see that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are still thinking, should we hop on board? Is this team legit? Was it because we played UAPB? We're about to answer all those questions. Exactly what you need to know and exactly what we saw from that game and what you can expect to move forward. That being said, before we kind of get cranked up and started, I have to let you know it's going to be a fun week for 4th and 5. Expect later in the week, we're going to be breaking down Oklahoma State. We haven't done this yet, but I feel like a lot of people, Josh, they want to know UAPB cool. But what's it going to look like against Oklahoma State? So we've been really paying attention to them, and we're going to give our thoughts on that breakdown, that matchup. We'll have that later in the week. Also later in the week, our guy, Dr. Reynolds, who we call Big Kurt over there at Ortho, Arkansas, he's going to have your injury report and football for NFL's coming up. You need to know who to sit and who to start for fantasy football. Dr. Kurt Reynolds is going to have that and more. And also later in the week, we're going to add a little something new to 4th and 5. The highlights. People love highlights, Josh. So we're going to give people, let them know what we're going to bring.
Yeah, no, we're actually going to be bringing you the hair-raising plays of the week, and we're going to nominate one of the plays as the hair-raising play of the week. So look forward to that. MD Hair Labs is going to be sponsoring that. That's why we love to call it the MD Hair Labs hair-raising play of the week. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, but before we move forward to the breakdown, it's coming, y'all. Like I said, y'all are about to get everything you need to know from that first half with our starting quarterback, Taylon Green, and what you can expect for him moving forward, at least after what we saw in week 1. But when it comes to those hair-raising plays of the week, we have 4 in mind. Y'all can probably guess what they are, or you may have your opinion of your own. So send us comments right now of what you think they are, and they see if they match up with what we believe they are. We're going to rank them 4 to 1. I'm very curious to see what our viewers are going to say. All right, let's get right into it. I know y'all don't want to wait. Y'all don't want to wait any longer. I really paid attention to the first half. I mean, I went all the way through it, every single drive. There were 7 drives there in the first half, and I'm nitpicky, y'all, and I paid attention. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the breakdown for you this week of Arkansas playing UAPB down at War Memorial Stadium. All right, welcome into the breakdown. Tape tells all. People can give all their opinions or whatever, say how good or bad they did, but when you run the tape, it tells the real story. So here we are. Still a lot you can learn against an opponent like UAPB. Let's go ahead and hop into this tape, and I'm going to show you exactly what I learned from this game. And we're going to start with the very first play of the game. You can see us coming out right here. Coach Petrino, he tried to make a statement with the first snap of the game. Taylon Green, a little play action to the running back, and goes deep. Ball underthrown. I'll be honest with you, first play of the game should have been an interception. One thing that he does a lot that kind of wears me out, this is what he used to do at Boise. For some reason, he throws and kind of fades away. He's not stepping into this throw. You can see it right there. And it doesn't get enough zip on this ball to get it downfield. That's something he needs to work on. Hopefully Coach Petrino sees that on tape and gets that corrected soon. And another thing right here, he's rolling. No doubt about it. Look at him. 6'7" and can move like that. That is awesome. So the key of this play is actually for him to blow the top off the offense. Then you have Isaiah Satania coming on the cross route. So I would say this is somewhat of a good thing. That Taylon Green understood this ball's supposed to go to Satania, but realized the DB was playing so bad from UAPB, he figured might as well go for a home run shot, just underthrew the ball. Another one right here, this is actually really good to see. Offensive linemen, everyone has a hat on a hat, moving up the field, getting blocks down the field. That's something we struggled with last year. Yeah, I get it's a fumble. I just wanted to focus more on the offensive line. All right, here's another play where I'm kind of concerned about the pre-snap recognition. You can see we're kind of outflanked. This is going to be a read option, and the center is kind of in a bad spot right here as far as leverage is concerned. You see he gets beat, but this read should be a pull from Taylor all day. He decides to hand it off. Yes, it's 3rd and 1. We got the first down, but as you can see right there, much space to do something a lot bigger. So I would say bad read, still no harm, no foul. We still got the first, keep the chains moving. Now, another thing, as I kind of want to roll back here real quick, this is something we didn't see a lot on tape, which I absolutely love from our offensive line. You can see our right guard just toss that guy out the club. Play's not over yet. He's looking who's around that. He wants to get in it every single play. That's very fun to see from the offensive line. All right, here we go. Once again, first drive, a simple play action. Luke has, who probably is going to win the Mackey, and I think going to be the best tight end at the University of Arkansas, doing his thing. All right, here we go. Let's move to a 2nd and 2, another handoff, and I want to bring it back again. Look at 72. Once again, just looking for people. Don't get caught slipping around that pal. He's going to catch you. I love that mentality from the offensive line. All right, here's a play right here that's interesting. A lot of people saw this and was kind of on for Taylor Green for throwing the ball behind the receiver. But as you look at it, you can see Jordan Anthony right there. After he gets bumped, he kind of settles down. This is where Taylor thinks he's going to sit in this hole. But then he drifts about 3 or 4 yards up and to the right, and I think that's why that ball was behind him. I'm going to give Taylor a pass on that one. All right, as we move on to the next play, once again, Taylor doing his thing with his legs, but you see Luke has right there, downfield, being a playmaker, not just by catching the ball, but with blocking as well. Let's get to a 1st and goal, quick and easy. Let's go in for the touchdown. Very good first drive. All right, here we go. 2nd drive of the game. Once again, let's look at our receiver. This concept right here, it's supposed to open up to where this guy comes underneath and catches in this window. As you can see right here, ball should be ready to come out. So that's a mishap, but Taylor's just not going to push it, which I'm okay with. A problem with our receivers is they drift, as you saw right there. They need to come out of that break and be flat down the line of scrimmage. Now, right there, Jackson, here, let me go back real quick. Now this is what I like. Make sure you don't run out of bounds. Make sure that DB remembers the next time he tries to tackle you. Great physicality right there. And once again, this guy, very impressive to see him run with the ball. I'm very excited to see what he does as a Razorback. This is another interesting play. I think this maybe is a busted play. I don't know why they would be running a bootleg and the running back not be a part of this action. I think it's a busted play. I could be wrong, but as it develops, I don't see why you would have a tight end and a running back both going to the flat. The thing about it is, as we kind of go back and look right here, this linebacker is responsible for that running back, and so he brings him to Taylor, which doesn't allow him to set his feet or at least throw the ball on the run to a wide open receiver coming across potentially for a touchdown. So I think a busted play. I'm not sure. I'd be very surprised by that concept if that was supposed to be the way it's done. All right, it is 1st and 10 here, and let's see what we got. We got a little toss. Oh, here we go. I like this play. Number 55, Fernando Carmona. That's how you run and get aggressive. You see right here a better angle. He can move in space, and he's just headhunting, blocking down the field. You got to love that. Razorbacks would go on to score that drive. All right, next drive coming up. Taylor doing a good job just getting the ball moving, completion after completion. This may be my favorite play of the game. A nice down block from Luke Has right there, sealing the edge. Then you got your left guard and left tackle both pulling, running in space, getting blocks down the field. But Isaiah Satania, who I circled, getting his nose down there and getting dirty with the block. You got to love that from a receiver. Also, Blackstock, where you come from backside? Oh, man. That is big time from a right tackle, getting a block more than 15 yards down the field. You see him moving. Those are the blocks that spring touchdowns. You can tell they're all bought in. That was really fun to see. Okay, here we go. A 3rd and 15. This is a great throw from Taylor Green. Just very confused by the concepts right here. You can see, I just don't believe two receivers are supposed to be in the same space right here. I believe Anthony was supposed to read too high safety. At least that's what he thought, even though it looks like they kind of went to a quarters. I think he was supposed to go around that Mike linebacker. But, hey, it all worked out at the end of it. But I think they still got a couple things to brush up on of understanding spacing when it comes to the concepts on the offensive side of the ball. Here's a quick little option route by Tesla. It was perfect. great with his decision there. Taylor got the ball out quick. Okay, this next one is a play. If we don't get it figured out, it's going to come back to haunt us right here. Great action right here, and Taylor has to understand it doesn't matter if that guy's coming to knock your helmet off. Step into this throw, and you have to complete this ball. You're not going to get a lot of opportunities on a slant route in the red zone to complete that in the SEC. Those are things we need to work on ASAP if we want to compete at a high level. All right, I want to brag once again about this offensive line and Fernando Carmona. Man, you're doing the right thing. Love the way he's playing. Now, is this the best blocking on this play? Not the best. We're moving downfield, but this is what I love. Take a look at him right now. This guy's right here is doing a little extra, number 55 to his quarterback. Get off my guy. And then he after he gets him up, he lets him know, hey, I'm coming for you. Ooh, you got to love that from your offensive line. Just talk about a mentality. Fernando, you keep that up, man. Absolutely love it. All right, let's keep this thing rolling as the ball progresses. Just Taylor being accurate right there close to the sideline. DB's falling down from UAPB. Not exactly sure why. Keep into account the talent level here. It's not the best we're going against, but I still like what we see. All right, once again, frontside run. Like I said, we're just moving the ball. All right, let's pick up here to 1st and 10, and this one's great. You see the concept here from the two tight ends. One's going to be shallow. Luke's going to be a little bit deeper. And this is big time from Taylor right here. He understands that this linebacker is sitting in this window. He's patient. He knows he has protection. He's going to hit Luke in that second window. That's big time right there. You got to love that from Taylor Green. Great catch by Luke. And this right here, y'all. Woo! That one right there on the run, throwing across your body, a dime in the back of the end zone. That shows you right there, if this guy gets it going, he's going to be dangerous, not just with his legs, but with his arms as well. Okay, I want you to watch this in 2 minutes. This is really cool to see. He throws the ball over the middle, guy tackled in bounds. Watch Coach Petrino right here. He's letting him know a guy on the sideline was open. You have to make sure you throw to the sideline, get the ball out of bounds. This is a little different. I'm used to seeing a Coach Petrino rip somebody in half. He talks to him, make sure he's composed, and check this out. The very next play, he takes coaching. Has a drop, holds the safety, gets the ball to the sideline. That was very good to see that sequence there to make sure they run the 2-minute drill effectively. And to cap off the first half, this right here, if all else breaks down, you have a guy that can do this right here. It's special, y'all. Now, I know there's a lot of things for Taylor to work on, but once those get brushed up and once those get fixed, that plus coaching from Bobby Petrino, I'm telling y'all right now, this dude could be special. Can't wait to see it. That being said, still a lot of work to get done on that offensive side of the ball. I don't care if it's 70 points or 100. If you believe you got it all figured out, that's the moment you stop getting better. I'm all about getting better. And I think with Coach P on offense, they still got a lot to prove. All right, so, yeah, an amazing run to cap off the first half for Taylor Green. It's nice seeing him have that ability. Like I said, well, Josh, I'll get your comments on that breakdown here in just a second. But once again, I'm going to go back to just bragging on Fernando Carmona. Now, this is the same guy in the same unit that in the preseason and workouts, when they started doing all that karaoke singing stuff, I was a little suspicious, all right? I was a little suspect to say, what do we got going on? And I didn't like it at first, but as I've started to kind of pay close attention to this team and this unit, I was talking to some guys about Fernando, right? Mm-hmm. And I said, my biggest concern with a guy like that, he's talented, Josh. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
He is a guy that doesn't have to turn the switch on and off. He's just always ready to go. My biggest concern was his personality, him having fun, and sometimes what people would see joking around. Well, he can marry that with working extremely hard and being very efficient. When you don't have guys that talented, sometimes they joke a little bit too much and they need to focus more on about their business. But what he has done as far as setting the tone in the offseason, you can see it starting to pay off with all those plays I just showed. But when he was not taking any ish from that guy, I don't care who it is, UAPB, right, Oklahoma State, Alabama, Auburn, for him to point that dude right in his eye and said, you finna get yours. I mean, that just sets the tone. And he backed it up with this play, and not just him, now throughout the whole offensive line. Now, I know what everybody's saying. It was UAPB.
It's UAPB.
And I'll say this too, Josh. They were awful and it sounds bad. UAPB, if you're watching this, take this as a very constructive criticism to do better. Guys throwing up on the field, not coming off the ball, falling down in the secondary with no one touching them, pass rushing, like just putting their hands up in the air. They were awful. So I get where a lot of people are saying it's hard to gauge exactly how good we are. But one thing, Josh, that I did see without a doubt is the mentality is there. The talent, I would say, is there when it comes to the physical ability to get out and run and make those blocks. Now, we had guys on the team last year, they may have known what to do. They just couldn't move. I mean, they were just too slow. They didn't have good mobility. What we saw on tape was them moving very well in space. So they don't have an excuse now when it comes to, we don't have the guys that can get it done. They do. Now it's going to come to, hey, week 2, Oklahoma State, it's time to strap up and see what we're about. All right. So I can't wait for it. Still a lot of question marks, in my opinion, just based off the opponent we played. Mm-hmm. But compared to the start of last year, night and day.
Man, doesn't it seem like in the past few years, the teams that you're supposed to dominate as an SEC school, you think about the way that Alabama goes about dominating their non-conference opponents, the way that Georgia goes about dominating their non-conference opponents. And every single time, it feels like this, at least. I mean, I could be wrong. There might be a couple games where we did do this over the past few years, but it feels like some of the games that we were supposed to dominate as an SEC school, it feels like we were at halftime and it was 10-14, it was 10-17, and we're scratching our heads going, how are we a field goal away from losing this game against San Diego State or whatever it might be. I feel like this was the first time, and this is really all that we can go off of right now, because I know Arkansas fans, we're always quick to just jump on the train and the bandwagon of going, man, look how great we were. This is awesome. We do need to take a step back and say, okay, this is UAPB. But there's a big takeaway from this, is that for me, this is the first time that we showed up week 1 against a lesser opponent and played like we were an SEC school, played like we were a dominant SEC team. We didn't go out and beat ourselves. And that's really what me and you talked about this before the game is, we're going to beat UAPB, but how many times are we going to beat ourselves, in drives? How many times are we going to beat ourselves and end up having to go into the punt formation and turning the ball over? How many times are we going to, have missed passes, inaccuracies? How many times are we going to drop the ball? There was a lot of stuff, missed blocks and missed opportunities. There's a lot of times where in the past seasons where, 1 or 2 guys on the offensive line cost the play, or the quarterback just overthrowing an easy route that was wide open cost the entire series. And so we beat ourselves most of the time versus these lesser opponents. So for the first time in a long time, it felt like we had an offensive coordinator that had our offense on point, in sync, knowing exactly what to do, where to be. All the assignments were hitting on all cylinders. And it felt like we were an SEC school playing a UAPB. Now, that's about all I can take away from this game. And I think that's what the fans can take away from this game, is that we look like we got a product week 1 that met the mark that we should be meeting as an SEC school. Now, going into Oklahoma State, still a lot of question marks to be answered when you got better talent on the field. I won't get into that because we'll save it for our next episode when we're breaking down the OSU game. But I'm happy with what I saw, 70-0, the offense scoring on every series that they got the ball. You can't really complain. The receivers, I mean, literally just the amount of receivers that touched the ball, all 3 quarterbacks having success. I think that this was at least what we said prior to the game, that Bobby Petrino wanted to see what he had in the stable, and we were able to see that we got a lot of guys that can play, still trying to figure out, who all can be playmakers for us. But super excited about our running backs, super excited about our Utah transfer, and man, I love to see Taylor Green run, that's for sure. Kind of reminded me of a little Matt Jones-esque running ability there on that long run.
He's got those long strides. That's for sure. And Josh, something a lot of people too, when it talks about this UAPB game, a lot of people have been asking me, at the end of the game, when there was about 30, 40 seconds left, shouldn't they just have taken a knee?
No, absolutely not.
I understand what people are saying. And I'll say this too. I like to really watch these cutaway shots that ESPN does. And I could maybe see it a little bit in Pittman's face of him transitioning into dude's a great dude and a great coach. And he's a nice guy. And you can kind of see it in his face. It looked to me, I'm not the one to speculate.
Right.
He was like, "Oh man, I wish we could just get this game over with because we're putting it on these dudes, you know." But this is the thing, Josh. When you're trying to change the culture of a program, which was losing last year, you're losing team captains that are still playing college football at other teams,
That's right.
and you have guys that let go of the rope last year. When you come in and completely try to change a culture and make sure that from here on out, every single person on that team has a mentality of winning. You can't just chip away all off season long, day in and day out of saying everything you got, everything you got, everything you got. You are slowly building almost this killer instinct mentality of what you want, especially in those big time games. You need guys on the field who are legit dogs that you just let loose. You don't train that all off season and then put them in a situation and say, okay, back off. You just let them loose, you know, and it is what it is. Because every single guy that I saw came in later in that game, Josh, which was cool to see. First, second, third, fourth string, they were hungry.
That's right.
Now, and that's exactly what you need to move forward in a program. Now, I know it's hungry when it's a buffet and it's all you can eat, and they're just serving it up to you on a platter. It's going to be a little bit different when Oklahoma State opens up their door to their restaurant and saying, "Whoa, you're gonna have to earn this meal." So I am in the whole pump the brakes, but just simply comparing last year to this year as a Razorback fan, you have to be happy. Now, I can say that and be very critical at the same time. Let's circle back around to Taylor Green. I talked about him in my breakdown, Josh, and still so much more to work on. There are so many plays in there that we talked about, that I talked about. You have to make those throws in SEC game. Those are make or break plays. The windows are going to be much smaller. Pass rush is going to be in your face. This whole fading away, not standing in the pocket, all that stuff is going to catch up to you, and you're going to learn real quick. Offensive line, great execution. Now you're going to be playing against some dogs too. So all these little things that look great, I do think they can keep that consistent. At least they have the ability to. But Coach Petrino, I know right now he's looking at that tape, and I just showed you first half and not every single play. He's looking at it like, dang, we still got so much more work to do. And once they get clicking on those cylinders, Josh, it's going to be scary. And hear me out. Second half, I didn't show you any of it. But our backup quarterback, he ain't no joke now.
Malik Singleton is the real deal as well. You know, watching him play reminded me of the Auburn game when Ryan Mallett came out and Tyler Wilson went in, and you kind of realize, like, hold on, we're still good here. Like, we've got a future at the quarterback position at Arkansas. So yeah, I have to agree with you that Malik Singleton really impressed us. And to your point earlier about all the backups, you know, we came in and we kept scoring. Well, you can't fault the coaches for scoring. You can't, it wasn't our philosophy to run the score up. It's just that our second, third, and fourth string continued to show success. And I think that's another testament to how Petrino has developed not the culture there on the offense, not only just with the starters, but with everybody. You know just as well as I do, from the top starter all the way down to the walk-on, he demanded excellence. He wanted perfection from everyone. He wanted you to treat it like a game every single day, whether you were in the film room or whether you're on the practice field. So it's not surprising to see the success that they had. I think it may be surprising to see it that early for them to just be perfect. Obviously, we knew they were going to win against UAPB, but the perfection on offense from scoring every single time that they had the ball was surprising for me, because it was just such a drastic shift from what we saw last year with Dan Enos. So, and you talked to me earlier about your radio show that you do on 103.7 The Buzz, and some of the stuff that Clint Sterner was saying. I think you should share that with the viewers, because Petrino's thinking that way, because we've been all excited about what we saw from Taylor Green, and we saw a lot of good things, but we also saw a lot of bad things, and we're not really talking about them. And if we do talk about them, a lot of fans, you'll see that they kind of they don't want to hear that. It seems like you're just hating. But just touch on that for our viewers a little bit.
Yeah, he was just talking about those plays that make the difference in SEC games. Plays that if you got a guy transferring in and he's the 6'6" cannon, can run, super athlete, then you have to be that guy and you have to make those plays. These underthrown balls, kind of missing these slants. I mean, they're just so necessary to be successful. And he also went on to talk about, I know that's nitpicking, and I know, but he would always say, and Clint, if you're watching this, forgive me if I get it wrong. He says you can't ignore in success what you would criticize in failure. And so if something happens, a different game, and we end up losing, playing whoever, and that same deep ball, first play of the game, is intercepted, we talking about it. You know, that slant in the end zone that's too high, we're talking about it. That missed read, instead of handing it off, you're pulling it. We're talking about it. And it's still so tough to gauge, Josh, if I'm being honest. But I did see that we have the ability now to have no excuse to say, we know you can do it. Now, can you get it done? It's going to come down to you and your one-on-one matchup. Who's going to knock each other in the mouth the most? It's all going to happen. And like I said, I'm hoping the guys are watching this. Carmona. We didn't even talk about the defense. We'll talk about that here in a second. But we talk about our running back Jackson, Taylor Green. You're finna get got. I guarantee it. Oklahoma State, you're going to be put on your butt. You're going to be decleated. You're going to be hit in the mouth. Receivers coming across the middle. You're going to get your clock clean. That's just part of the game. Trust me. It's about when you get up, and like my favorite coach, Coach Nutt, would say, you get up with a smile on your face, look at that dude and say, I'll see you in 25 seconds. That's just what the game is about. And you got to love that aspect about it of, hey, okay, yeah, you got me, but here I come. And so that's really what I think next week is going to be all about. Oklahoma's talented. They were returning 21 out of 22 starters. When you hear that, it's scary. They played a talented team, an FCS team that did their thing last year and won championships. So they didn't play a UAPB. I guarantee you that. Now,
that's very true.
Struggled.
That's very true.
We'll talk more about them in our later episode. We'll give you all you can handle with Oklahoma State, so make sure you stay tuned for that one. But, Clint also went on to say the thing with Coach Petrino, he's watching tape, and he's looking at every single play. And the same thing with Taylor Green also goes with Singleton, and saying we have to take our opponent into account, Josh. No doubt about it. But he got that ball out a little bit quicker.
Right.
He seemed to make those reads.
He's just got he's got more of a natural throwing motion for a quarterback.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And we saw that when we, learned of Taylor Green transferring from Boise State. I mean, the way he kind of winds up and lugs the ball through, he's got more of a sidearm type of pass. But you could see that Coach Petrino has clearly manipulated that. And if you remember, I know you remember this, but how often in practice was Coach Petrino or Garrett McGee working and just hounding the quarterbacks on, where the ball was at, after the snap, keeping it up by their ear, the ball height when they were throwing certain passes. It was every single play. And I know that not all college coaches actually, are quarterback whisperers in that fact. I've got friends that have worked with other programs, and I ask them, how often are they actually changing the quarterback's mechanics and working with them on their mechanics? And some schools don't do that. Some offensive coordinators recruit kids coming out of high school based on liking their throwing motion or not liking it because they don't want to change it. Well, Coach Petrino is a guy that will work with a quarterback on his mechanics day in and day out. So that he's doing that. It was clear that he's been tweaked over the offseason. But at the same time, as you said, I think he started kind of falling back into some of his old habits as he was on the field, and the timing was just off on multiple different passes throughout or especially early on, just kind of getting some of those first game jitters out. But I wanted to touch on something else real quick because we're talking about the UAPB, and there's a lot of people out there that, are just hating because, they're like, oh, Arkansas people thought that, you went 70-0 against UAPB and all of a sudden you stand a chance against OSU. Well, the key to this situation is that a lot of people don't realize is, again, we're in a new era of football. The transfer portal has changed everything. Think about how many new players we have on the roster. I think upwards of 50 some odd new players on this roster. So basically, you've just flipped the script year over year on your team that you currently have. You've got a brand new running back who's actually played. He's had a lot of success at Utah. Brand new quarterback. The guys that are touching the ball 50% of the time are brand new to your team. You've got transfers all over the field at wide receiver. You've got guys who sat out last year who developed and aged on this team. It's just a completely different situation than what it used to be. So comparing last year's squad versus this year's squad and what the success is going to look like, it's just not actually comparable. You've got to look at really now with the transfer portal and how quickly teams can change. Obviously, offenses can change when you bring in a new offensive coordinator, but you've got to take that into consideration. So I don't think that you can learn a lot from what we're going to do this year based on last year. I think you got to take it game by game. And if I'm doing that, then I'm looking at this game against UAPB, and I'm just looking at how we came out. I'm looking at the success that we had. I'm looking at how ready Bobby Petrino had the offense to play. And then to tap into a little bit about what's going on next episode, I did watch the OSU South Dakota State game. They are a better team than UAPB. It was clear that they are. But I think one of the things that they actually exposed is that Oklahoma State's defense is not as good as I kind of envisioned a top 20 team to be. So I think if anything, to preview what we have later on this week with our OSU breakdown, is that Arkansas's offense seems to be poised enough to be extremely dangerous going into this game against OSU and their defense. I don't know that they're going to be able to hang with the firepower that we have. But then again, the big question is our defense. Is it going to be able to hang with the firepower that OSU has? And so we'll tap into a little bit of that and break down that later this week. But I think that's a couple key things to remember, is that this team is brand new. Most of the key parts on this team are brand new. So evaluate this week to week. Stay with us week to week, but don't let the outside haters get you away from believing in what you saw against UAPB. I don't want to call it drinking the Kool-Aid because it's Bobby Petrino, and I know what he's capable of. So I'm excited to see what happens.
Oh, it's definitely drinking the Kool-Aid.
No, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid yet. I'm just believing in what I saw, I saw a team that was prepared.
I see it in your eyes. You're gulping that Kool-Aid. I'm talking about 2-3 packs, about a gallon of water, about four cups of sugar, maybe 5. You're in it, Josh. You're in it.
Listen, I'm a believer. Don't get me wrong. I'm a believer, and I want to believe in the success that Arkansas can have. And I know the University of Arkansas can be a dominant team in the SEC. We just were 10, 15 years ago. We were dominant.
Easy. Whoa. Easy.
It can happen.
Easy.
It can happen.
Easy.
And the guy, hold on. Hold on. And the guy who led us.
Taking a shower in the Kool-Aid right now.
Just let it be. Just let it be. The guy.
Dominant team in the SEC this year.
The guy who made us one. Hear me out. Okay, let me break this down for you. Since you say I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, let me just tell you my philosophy on this. And maybe I am. I don't know. Let the viewers decide if I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. But think about this. Your sophomore year, Bobby Petrino came in, first-year offense, but he came in with Casey Dick, super smart, but didn't have the legs that Taylor Green has. And that matters in college football, to be able to run and create plays like you saw against UAPB. And I don't care what you say. That type of speed, I don't care what team you're playing, he's still going to be able to create plays on his feet throughout this season. Whether he can be as dominant whether he can be as dominant in the SEC versus how he was in the Mountain West, I don't know, but he'll be able to extend some plays. That's something that Casey Dick didn't really have in his repertoire. He wasn't able to have that kind of running ability. Now, with that being said, that same year, that 2008 year, we had a bunch of freshmen at wide receiver, very talented freshmen, but a bunch of freshmen, guys that needed to develop. You were a sophomore. That was still basically your first season actually starting, because I think the season prior you were playing behind Andrew Davey as a freshman.
What you trying to say, man?
What I'm trying to say is the weapons that he has on the field today is a lot different than year one and the weapons that he had back then. He's got some guys that are more seasoned, some guys that are just developed physically a little bit different than what Jarius and Joe and Greg were developed as freshmen in
That
comparison
crew,
to now.
they weren't there yet, but they
They
were
weren't
on their
there
way.
yet, but they were still threatening. And guess what Bobby Petrino did back then? He kept us in games. We didn't go into games and we're just a non-threatening team. We weren't like Arkansas of the past 2 years. Bobby Petrino, even with a bunch of youngsters, kept us as a threat against anybody that we played.
I mean, we got drugged by Alabama.
We did get drugged, but I'm just saying
we got drugged by Texas.
I don't think that the attitude towards Arkansas that year in 2008 was the same attitude that it's been the past 2 years.
I feel like most people saw that year and they all had the impression of, oh, it's coming.
Exactly. And we had just come off the Darren McFadden years. It wasn't the same situation as it has been the past 2 years. Yeah. So what I'm saying is what he had in the stable then versus what he has in the stable now. He has guys to make a difference right now, and it's a different era of football with the transfer portal. You know, he didn't have to wait to develop you guys. He's got a running back from Utah who's already seasoned. He's got a quarterback who's already seasoned. He's got wide receivers that are 230, 6'7". I mean, I'm just saying what we have right now and what I believe Bobby Petrino can do with it. I'm not ruling this season out to be a big turnaround for us. And I am drinking the Kool-Aid because it was UAPB. But what I wanted to see was an offense that didn't beat themselves. And clearly they did not beat themselves. I went, and after watching the OSU game, I went from having this upcoming week as an L on my schedule to watching the UAPB game and then watching the OSU South Dakota State game. And now it's a very winnable game. It's a very winnable game.
Okay, so you talked about the receiving core with the young guys when Coach P first got there compared to the more experienced and tenured guys that he has now. Super talented still. Tesla, Satania, Broden. I mean, you can keep going there. I mean, they're deep. Armstrong didn't even play, one of our best receivers. You took some time to actually kind of look at you talked about mechanics and what he can do with them. You saw some of those show up in the game, right?
Right, absolutely. So what I'd like to do now is, I know you're surprised and the viewers are going to love this. Let's go ahead and take a look at what some of the receivers did that really impressed me. And we're not talking big plays. I want to show you what's going to matter when it comes to moving the chains all game long. You guys take a look at this. All right, DJ, let's take a look at the tape. I want to go into the wide receivers and what I really liked against UAPB, but then also what I think is necessary for us to be able to actually win this game against the Oklahoma State Cowboys this Saturday. All right, guys, I want to focus on some simple plays. I'm not talking about the big touchdown scores, the long runs from Taylor Green. I want to talk about the stuff that keeps the chains moving. So here at the bottom of the screen, focus on Isaac Tesla down here by the numbers. I've got him highlighted for you. I really like this guy because he's good at running routes and he knows the defense, and you can give him the responsibility of changing his route on the fly. So option routes are great for him. We'll take a look at this route that he runs here. He's just going to stem in and really try to turn that linebacker's hips on a dig route. This is what he's choosing to do. Now, I think he has the option to kind of turn it upfield or go out if he needs to, but he actually runs this 10-yard dig. He stems in, does a good job at just acquiring the attention of that middle linebacker, and all you really want to do here is get him to turn his hips and commit to you a little bit. Isaac does a great job at doing that. Gets that outside leverage on him to get around him. Taylor Green and him have a great connection here. Taylor knew exactly what he was going to do. He kind of gave that outside fake, and he sees his shoulders turn around, and he delivers the ball on time right there in the zone where, you know, you're just not going to get anybody to get it. But again, first down. Guys, this is super basic routes, but it's super important for your offense to be clicking on this because that's moving the chains and keeping things alive. All right, next up, we've got Tyrone Broden. I want to talk about this play right here because I really like this play call by Bobby Petrino. You know, it's 2nd and goal. You're in the red zone. You want to take a shot at the end zone early. And when you've got a guy who's 6'7", it just makes sense to go to him anytime you're close to the end zone with all that height. It doesn't matter if it's a one-on-one matchup or not. I just think you got to get the ball to your big man and let him go make a play. So really like this play call here. We're going to put a guy in motion. That's going to just expose the defense a little bit. They're in man here. And they actually do have a corner blitz. And I want to show you guys something here. So this is just a mesh route, causing a lot of confusion. Tyrone Broden does a really good job at just splitting that distance between the linebackers right there. He's able to slip through there. Doesn't disrupt his route too much. But down here at the bottom of the screen, this is a key pick pickup right here. Freshman running back, I think he's 250 pounds. He's just picking up this blitz, which is good because it allows Talon to kind of slip out to the right, extend that play. Tyrone Broden, I mean, he doesn't even have a guy on him. He's wide open. There's too much confusion coming across with Bobby Petrino's crossing route. And boom, you catch him in the end zone right there. These types of plays matter. Executing these types of plays, picking up that block was huge to allow Talon to kind of get out there and extend that play to the right and pull off that touchdown, which is awesome. All right, the next play that I want to focus on, Monte Harrison, one of my favorite additions at wide receiver. He's 6'3", 230. He's a big dude. He's not your average freshman. So, here we are. Fourth quarter, 3 minutes left, first and 10. But I'm really showing this play because if you look at Monte at the top of the screen, this is really just showing me his maturity because it's not that special of a play. But guys, you'd be surprised how many freshmen actually run themselves in the coverage. So he's running basically a 10-yard in route. The goal here is they're in a zone. So the goal here is to not put yourself into coverage. Don't run yourself into coverage. Sit in the holes and wait on the ball. And that's, I mean, you've got a good receiver when he's a freshman and he actually understands the zone. He's able to sit, be patient, wait for that ball. And then after the catch, this is a big guy, 6'3", 230. Look at him get north and south immediately, make a guy miss, fall forward for another 5 yards. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 years left. I can't imagine what Bobby Petrino's going to do with a guy who's 6'3", 230, and he as a freshman. I mean, that's kind of insane. All right, guys, final play I want to show you here. Fourth quarter, 9 minutes, 55 seconds on the clock, but let's disregard that. Really, I want to focus on that 3rd and 7. This is the most important thing because we're going to be in these types of situations against Oklahoma State next Saturday, and this is the type of plays that have to be made. Malik Singleton showed us that he can play football, he can play quarterback, which I love. So if we do end up with an injury with Talon Green at some point in time, our second string can come in and deliver a good ball. All right, if you'll focus on Isaac Teslaw down here at the bottom of the screen, the first thing he does at the snap of this ball is he stems his route in and splits the difference between the linebackers. This is important because it does 2 things. Number 1, it makes this middle linebacker come over and respect your route because you're actually about to break it off down the middle here. So you've already drawn him over, you've gotten him out of line of sight for the quarterback and created a clear lane. The other thing that it's doing by stemming this route inside is you're getting inside leverage on that safety that's over the top, allowing for Malik to just basically throw the ball in the only area that you can go up and catch it. Now, I'll have to say, Isaac Teslaw made a spectacular catch here. This one-handed catch is just nasty. You can't count on very many guys on your team to be able to go up and make a catch like that, but he did. The perfect execution on 3rd and 7 obviously put us in a position to score. Guys, these are the types of plays that lead to touchdowns. They keep your offense on the field. They keep your defense on the sideline, rested, ready to come out and play. But these are the moments that actually win the ball game. So if we're actually going to compete against Oklahoma State next Saturday, we're going to have to execute just like this. So you see what I'm talking about, DJ? I'm telling you right now, what do they say? Where there's will, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. And these guys have got it. And we just got to make sure that we stay consistent. We keep moving the chains because those type of plays is what can put us in a position, especially against Oklahoma State's defense, to actually win next week's game.
So you're doing breakdowns now.
Did you like that? Look, a lot of people have been talking about your breakdowns, and I said, well, I'm gonna break down his breakdowns. He's breakdown.
Hey, I give it to you. That was a good breakdown.
I'm gonna break down his breakdowns.
So you're doing breakdowns now. That used to be my lane. You in my lane now?
Here's what I like to say is that, to be a wide receiver for the University of Arkansas with my athletic ability, you at least got to be smart. You at least got to be smart. So I'm going to break down your breakdowns. In fact, once you start breaking stuff down, I'm going to go back over and find out what you missed on. I'm going to start marking your breakdowns up.
Hey, man, you can check my breakdowns. My breakdowns are solid, man.
I like it, man. I like it, but
that's awesome, man. That's good. I like that. Speaking of breakdowns, too, other tease, former Arkansas Razorback lineman Grant Cook is going to start being a part of the show as well, kind of giving a little bit more insight to the offensive line. Good. Things that me don't even see, and right. the language that they speak and understanding all. And I feel like I have a good grasp of, since I played tight end, but it's just a different level when you played the position for over 4 years. So that'll be a fun little aspect is too. All right, Josh,
Huge.
let's stay on task.
Well, hold on. That's going to be huge because a lot of if you don't, I mean, most fans remember Grant Cook, but if you don't know, he went on and played for the Green Bay Packers a little bit while you were there as well.
Yep.
You guys both, I think, even lived together for a short period of time. So to be able to have his insight on the offensive line is huge. So that's awesome.
He kind of fits the mold too for what we the personalities that we have here on 4th and 5. Definitely fits the mold.
And he's a movie star, by the way.
He's a movie star. He can sing. He can do it all. Grant Cook. So that'll be a fun addition. So look for that. Hopefully later in the week if he has time. He's busy up there in Northwest Arkansas doing his thing, but he said he's going to help us out when he can. All right, Josh. To keep things moving, I know a lot of people may be asking. Okay, you talked about the first half, this, that, and the third offense. Boom, boom, boom. What about the defense? And I'm gonna be honest with you, Josh. There's not much I really gauge from the defense, and I'll start, with the guy I said I'm going to be picking on. Landon Jackson, I watched you closely. For him to have all the hype, and he's supposed to do this, have all the sacks, and he's supposed to do everything, Josh. He is an extremely selfless player, and it was actually really cool to see of him having gap integrity, of him making sure he didn't, get his outside leverage, whatever that word is. He really did his thing when it comes to playing his role and opening up other things for his teammates. Like, I think he understands he can't do it by himself. He needs his linebackers to be involved. He needs them to be engaged. And a linebacker's best friend is the defensive front. When you have guys that it takes multiple people to block a defensive lineman, it opens up linebackers for one-on-one with the offensive lineman maybe pulling or working up to the second level or just blitzing. And it's really cool seeing that if he wanted to, he could have had 3-4 sacks. But he was so disciplined, especially in the option and the read game of staying his responsibility. So, one, that was cool to see. He knows when he has to turn it up. And, Landon, if you're watching, we need you to turn it up against Oklahoma State and set the tone for the rest of the guys. But I will say up front, it was good to see. I can't sit here and say I'm overly impressed because who we were playing, because I do believe guys like Landon, Cam Ball, front four, their talent is so much better than what they competed against. So it's really still hard to say, man, you did your thing. I want to say you did your thing next week. So I'm just going to save it for that. And the only reason I'm saying this is because I'm being very picky with them. I'm picking on them this year. I've already made my mind up who I'm picking on. So I'm going to be very critical just because, one, I know what I think they can do. It's just going to be up to them to get it done. So that I say that was good to see. Cam Ball, if you're listening, I did see a little bit later, maybe in the second quarter, as you maybe first. UAPB was on a run, and they ended up getting a first down here or there. He seemed like his conditioning where it wasn't needed to be. We got to tighten that up. And the reason I say that is because we need you on the field and not on the sideline as much as possible because you're a baller. So tighten that up. Make sure your nutrition is right. Get ready for OSU. And it sounds like I'm picking on them. I'm not, Josh. I'm just saying I see what they can do. And if they can be solid up front, our linebackers – they're athletic. I wouldn't say they look like the big Alabama linebackers or those, but they're fast, man. And so we need to make sure our defensive line can free them up because those dudes, they can run sideline to sideline, and that's going to be huge responsibility for the D-line to make sure that you free those guys up because I think that's the most athletic position on the defensive side of the ball. And if you can have those guys just free running, they're going to make some plays. Secondary, it's kind of hard to see because we didn't show anything. Same thing with up front. Same thing with our defensive package. They didn't show anything. Or did they have to? Because UAPB, they got to just do a little bit better. So they were very plain. They were very basic and kept them off the scoreboard as they should. And so it's still hard to gauge exactly where they are. But I think they went out there, did the least amount as possible as far as scheme is concerned, and it was a walk in the park for them. I think this week, this is when Coach Travis Williams is saying, all right, now they finna see what we're all about. I take that back. He's not saying now they're going to see. Hopefully he's saying now we're going to see what we're all about. And so that's one thing I think we still got to wait and see how it works, Josh.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, just to touch back on it again. I mean, the offense, we saw what we wanted to see. We didn't beat ourselves. We weren't expecting, UAPB to beat us. We just wanted to make sure that we came out and we didn't beat ourselves. It's harder to judge the defense when you're playing a team like UAPB because you're not expecting them to do anything. But I mean, hey, look, we didn't give up a touchdown. That's basically what you can ask for. The real test with our defensive line, our linebackers. But I think the group that's going to be tested the most is going to be the DBs versus Oklahoma State's wide receivers. So, like you said, this next week is going to be the biggest test to see what we got there on defense. But I will say, I did have a chance to comment back and forth with Landon Jackson's dad because he does watch our show, and we need to clarify something. He is 6'7", okay? Because his dad played basketball. Or was tall. I don't know if his dad actually played basketball, but his dad was tall. I think 6'11" is how tall his dad is. And I told his dad I want to get him on the show to actually talk about this because we got a bone to pick with you trying to lie to me about his height. So we're gonna straighten it up right here on the show. We're gonna bring a ruler and everything. Hopefully we can have him meet you in Little Rock, measure his dad right there on the show, see if he's 6'11", get his input on some of these games.
Hey. 6'7", 280, it sound good.
Hey, you better look. If his dad shows up and he's 6'11", come on, you better get your act right.
Shoes on or shoes off?
I don't know, Mr. Jackson. If you could comment under this video, let us know shoes on or shoes off. And I don't need no Dr. Scholl's little shoe inserts under there to try to put you up a couple inches. We want to know barefoot. NFL, NBA combine. How tall are you? Because that matters.
This can be an early bet. Our viewers can play along too. So Landon Jackson's going to the NFL next year, no doubt about it. It's just a win. First round, second round, third round, fourth round. We're going to wait and see how the season plays out. It is September. Is it September? Yeah. It is September. So come draft time, whenever draft is next year, Landon Jackson. I'll write it down now. He's going to be 6'6". Now, say off season, he's probably going to work. The thing is, he needs to be fast.
Right. He's going to shed some weight, right? For the
you need to be fast, especially with what they want from defensive ends now in the NFL. He will be 6'6",
258, 262.
No. He's not that type of linebacker. He still needs to be big. He could play like a DN in a 3-4 defense. Edge rusher. Ooh, he's going to have to be really fast to do that. And so if we're going to try to have him run like a 4.7, he's going to be about 6'6", 273 at the combine.
Okay.
Same. Yeah.
6'6".
I'm sorry, Mr. Jackson. Woo. I'm just trying to be for real.
Mr. Jackson.
Hey, I'm just trying to be for real. All right, we'll see. Okay. What is coming up? We talked about offense. We talked about defense. It's going to be a jam-packed year. Usually we just drop one episode a week. What we're going to start doing now, we get a special edition episode with Oklahoma State because, Josh, you and I both believe this game is huge. It is the game to set the tone for the season.
And winnable.
They know they need it. They played on Thursday, give them extra time to rest. And I guarantee you this, they probably went over UAPB's game plan maybe 3% of practice during fall camp. They've been looking at Oklahoma State. They knew what they were going to do against UAPB. So if we want to see a fully prepared, healthy team play against a ranked opponent, you're going to see it come Saturday. So we're going to see what Arkansas is all about. And so that's why I said we're going to add this extra edition of breaking down Oklahoma State. We're going to do matchups. What's their D-line look against our offensive line? What's the DBs look like against the receivers? We're going to really try to put some time into this to give you everything you need to at least look for come Saturday. And that will be fun. Don't forget, too, we're going to have our hair-raising plays of the day. Don't forget to comment on what you believe they are. We picked four plays from UAPB, which we believe are the best. To see if you can pick the same ones we picked. Also, our presenting sponsor, Ortho Arkansas, we got who we call Big Kurt also known as Dr. Reynolds at Ortho, Arkansas. He's going to come on with the injury report update and let you know what you need to do as far as your NFL fantasy teams look like as well. But Josh, it's going to be a big one, a big year ahead of us. It's a big year if we have a good week. Because I don't want to do what we did last year. All right. I know people think we are just Razorback haters because, unfortunately, sometimes keeping it real sounds like that. We want to sing praises all week, every week. This is a huge week. I will be down there Friday night, and I'll be on that field primed and ready to see what's going on come 11 a.m. at kickoff in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
And I need to know.
Place to travel to because they have no hotel rooms, but we're going to figure it out.
And I want to know from our viewers, am I drinking the Kool-Aid or is DJ just lying? Is he just not seeing the big picture?
We need to reach out to Kool-Aid to see if they can sponsor your segments. Maybe we can put when Kool-Aid busts out the wall, you need to be right behind them. All right.
Yeah.
We're going to call you the Kool-Aid man.
All right. We'll see.
And hopefully if the Kool-Aid turns out to be all right, I'm going to sip a little too.
Okay. I got a glass for you.
Hey, look, like I said, my guys, and I've gained some relationships with some of the guys on the team. If you're watching this, I still need you to show me. I'm just gonna keep it a stack with you. I'm on the line. I'm just gonna keep it real, and so I need you to show me. And I think they need to show, not worry about showing other people, but show themselves if they're going to be for real or not this year. 4th and 5, always fun. Before we wrap this up, Josh, I have to give a shout out. You see, I'm wearing the food bank hat. It is Central Arkansas Restaurant Weeks. So if you're watching this from September 9th through September 20th, you need to go to the Food Bank's website, or you can learn more information at where I work every day, KRK, or our sister station, Fox 16, to get all the details for Restaurant Weeks. Like I said, it's 2 weeks. The Central Arkansas culinary scene is bigger than what you think, and a lot of people have no idea what all they have to offer. And I'm telling you this right now, if you go to this website and see all the participating restaurants, you're going to be like, dang, I got to go try that. Cool thing is, the restaurants that are participating, when you go and buy those specials just for Restaurant Week, a portion of the proceeds is going directly to the Arkansas Food Bank. Unfortunately, Arkansas, one of the most food insecure states in the country. And the cool thing that I love about this state, man, we really take care of our own.
We do.
And it could be from domestic violence. It could be from food insecurity. It could be from homelessness, or voting for our people on The Voice or American Idol. We show up. We got a winner, Chris Allen. Like I said, right. Arkansas people love Arkansas people. So this is a part not only to enjoy some great food, but also really take care of our own here in our backyard. So once again, Restaurant Weeks, you can go to the Arkansas Food Bank website for more information, or KRK or Fox 16. And so I'm all about supporting our own. So when you go, have a meal on me. You'll see all the specials online to knocking that out. But 4th and 5, it's been a fun one. We always appreciate you tuning in. Josh, I know you need to go refill your cup up with some Kool-Aid. You do it, man. Hey, what flavor Kool-Aid?
Man, I mean, I haven't had Kool-Aid in so long. I guess fruit punch. I don't know.
Oh,
I like fruit punch, the red con, the sugary con.
Okay, all right, man. You sometimes you're on the line. A lot of people that meet you, they're like, man, Josh kind of got a little culture in him. Am I saying that the right way? Usually, yeah. But you said both. You said a little both because, usually cultured people, they don't say cherry. They don't say strawberry. They don't say fruit punch. They say, what flavor you want? I want red.
I want the
what
red.
They say? You say you want grape. They mean, what you mean, purple?
Yeah.
All right, man. So, hey, Josh, what flavor are you drinking?
The red con.
That's right. Josh is light skinned. Don't let him fool you, y'all.
Oh, my God.
Oh, man. Hey, it's been a fun one, Josh. I'll link up with you here in a couple days as we get ready for your Oklahoma State breakdown and everything you need to know as the Hogs prepare to take on a top 20 team here in the country. That's it for 4th and 5.